and positivity. I'm also a very positive and optimistic person. But the reason I mentioned the British era law is human beings are supposed to go forward. We're supposed to progress. We're supposed to become maturer and maturer, right? When a country becomes independent and it's illiterate and dogmatic and superstitious, you're supposed to build institutions of education. You're supposed to focus on higher learning. You're supposed to create engineers and doctors and artists. You're supposed to build nation. You're supposed to create IITs and IIMs. You're supposed to send them to the Silicon Valley. You're supposed to get them MTechs and everything. And then you're supposed to create your society from top to down and down to top into a matured, wonderful society. We are not supposed to create a society which you shackle further and further, further and further, further and further, and give it legal terms. I'm not even worried about legal terms because I mentioned that it is operating at 3 levels. Legal level is 1 level that can be a transparent level. It's an opaque level that you can fight. You can fight legally, you can question legally. What about the other levels of functioning? What happens when the institutions which is supposed to protect your freedom get compromised? So Anushri can say, you can take this to such and such institution, you can appeal in such and such institution. But what happens when that institution ceases to be an institution of the civil society and becomes institution of the establishment? What happens then? We know millions of examples of that. I don't have to really elaborate on that. Number 3, what happens when you have extrajudicial steps being taken? Now, again, all of you are very mature people. You know the truths and facts. I don't have to mention them, but we all know for fact the telephone calls which go to journalists and the newspaper portals and all in the night and ask to take down the story, take down the stuff. These are extrajudicial stuff. You know for sure that the trustees of a particular institution would get threatened, and they would have to ask the editor and the entire editorial team of a weekly, of a particular magazine, Economic and Political Weekly. The most well-known editor was asked to resign the next day. A 33-member television journalist editorial team was asked to resign the next day from a particular thing because they ran a story of a particular corporate who was closer to the ruling dispensation. So these are not legal stuff. These are extrajudicial stuff. They operate at a totally different level. It is fine for certain institutions to fight back. Then there are the defamation cases, which Anushri knows very well about. When you print a story, when you write a story, when you project a story based on facts and figures, but the first thing they will say, okay, these people are weak people. Let's put a 5,000 crore defamation case on them, and they will withdraw and say, "Arey, hum to bahut chote aadmi, hum kya ladenge?" But when they stand up and fight, that is when we see the power shifting. That has happened, but not everybody is empowered or prudent enough to be able to do that. And third and finally, what happens when you get attacked and threatened, both at a digital level and at the street level? I know for sure many of my women friends are the most vulnerable, both at digital level and at a street level. When at the digital level, they get threats of rape and violence against them and their womanhood and everything. It is very easy to shut them up. And at the street level, at the grassroots level, we know the kind of violence which is inflicted. So these are extrajudicial stuff. Legal stuff, I again say, one can discuss, debate, argue in jurisprudence, but the extrajudicial stuff, you can't. And third is the propaganda, which is when that becomes the mainstream, when propaganda becomes mainstream, then the voices which are supposed to be there, even in the earlier times, they were the fringe voices, they get completely shut out. I mentioned earlier, right from the post-independence, in Indian society, the people who were lauded, awarded, and became heroic in our eyes were all anti-establishment. Every writer, every poet, every playwright, every filmmaker who became our heroes of subsequent generations, awarded and rewarded by the government and by institutions, were all anti-establishment. None of them were pro-establishment. That is why they became our heroes. A Girish Karnad was a hero, a Vijay Tendulkar was a hero, a Satyajit Ray or a Mrinal Sen was a hero, an Adur Gopal Krishnan was a hero, a Sahil Ludhianvi was a hero, because they were writing what they were seeing and they were responding to what they were seeing. And that can never be pro or anti. It has to be based on the ground reality and truth. And that cannot be legally dissected and then controlled. That okay, Sahir, when you write a poem on Taj Mahal and then say things like, ओ मेरी महबूबा, हम ताजमहल के सामने नहीं मिलेंगे, हम कहीं और मिलेंगे, क्योंकि इसे एक बादशाह ने बनाया है जिसने कईयों का एक्सप्लॉइट किया है इसको बनाने के लिए। अब आप कहें कि नहीं, आप ताजमहल का को बदनाम कर रहे हैं या ताजमहल वो कर रहे हैं, आप क्या साहिर को कहेंगे कि वो पंक्ति निकाल दीजिए जिसमें आप ताजमहल को मेंशन करते हैं? क्योंकि यू आर सेइंग I will rather fall in love with someone away from Taj Mahal because Taj Mahal may represent a certain kind of exploitation of the workers. That's Sahir's expression. That's Sahir's this thing. Similarly, you can take any poets in any realm of any time of history. It doesn't matter which government, which party is ruling. Because I believe that the government of India is not a government of a particular party. It has to be government of India representing every citizen of India, whether it's Anushri Brahmanan, me, or the person who works in my building and society. Everybody, it has to represent everybody, not any party. If it represents every citizen of India, then it is actually representing the Constitution of India, which represents every citizen of India. And therefore, I again want to ask Brahmanan and Anushri, can they remember a single film which has been made in India in last 50 years, which has actually deliberately, manipulatively tried to hurt religious sentiments, which was made in order to hurt religious sentiments? I cannot remember it. Whether it's a religious film like Jai Santashima or a film which probably celebrates atheism, it was not a single film was made to hurt any sentiment, any religious or any demographic sentiment. Because people who work in the soft power sector, artists, poets, writers, they are the most sensitive people vis-a-vis human beings, human condition, and human life. They do not go on to deliberately hurt. You know who hurt? Propagandists hurt. Because propaganda is based on that, is based on narrow vision of truth and reality. That my truth is the biggest truth and your truth doesn't exist. That's a propaganda. And that is what hurts. Those who are actually expressing themselves in terms of the time and the society they live in, they don't want to hurt anything. They only want to shine the light on the reality. They want to show mirror to society. I'm a theater person. First dictum that I do theater for is to show mirror to my audience. That see your face. You see the reality there. Whether you change or not, that is up to you. But my job is to show you the mirror. Now you crack the mirror. You say, no, we will not allow you to show the mirror because this mirror is hurting the sentiment of the person whose face is getting reflected on it. All right. Fabulous. Fantastic. Why don't you just do propaganda art then? Let's just have propaganda art. Let's just have mythology. Let's not get into historical perspective or any other stuff.
Stuff.